What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are finally here at the actual end to Final Crisis. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to cover Final Crisis number 6 and number 7 as a way to basically wrap up Final Crisis. Now, I do know I did skip some content when it came to Final Crisis, like Final Crisis on 3 Earths, the Batman tie-ins, but honestly, those few books right there I felt like were not that important to cover for the overall Final Crisis. I mean, Batman maybe, and we might come back to it later on, but for right now, we're not going to cover it. Either way, though, this is the actual end to Final Crisis. Now, we only covered Final Crisis for one particular good reason, which is because Grant Morrison basically used Final Crisis to be part of his Batman run. Now, not really completely, but there is a lot of content in Final Crisis that lead over to later books for Batman comics, like Dick Grayson becoming Batman. Now, with that being said, though, with Final Crisis number 6 and number 7, it does wrap up Final Crisis. We do see the heroes finding a way to actually defeat Darkseid, but on top of that, we also see a new beginning for DC Comics until the New 52 happens, because Final Crisis was done in 2009, I want to say, and 2011 we got New 52. So literally this new beginning or this new fresh start only lasted for like 2 years, and that is it. But with that being said, though, here is Final Crisis number 6 and number 7. And so getting into Final Crisis number 6, we actually do pick up with Superman right now in the future. Matter of fact, the 31st century, where he's right now with Brainiac 5. Now remember, Brainiac 5 is actually a future version of Brainiac, but on top of that, he is also part of a team called the Legion of Superheroes. Now with that being said, with Superman being in the 31st century, it is Brainiac right now showing Superman a machine that could possibly help Superman actually defeat Darkseid in the present day, because Brainiac 5 knows that Darkseid is about to win, that everything is about to be destroyed across the multiverse and all time. Now, with that being said, you're probably wondering, hey, Fresh, when did Superman actually arrive in the future? Well, that actually took place in a tie-in series we did not cover called Final Crisis on 3 Earths. And basically, it was a storyline where Superman went to the future to help the Legion of Superheroes fight against Superboy Prime, and that was it. But he was in the future after Superman Beyond. Now, with all that being said, though, he was in the future, and now you have Brainiac 5 showing him a machine that could actually help Superman defeat Darkseid, which is called the Miracle Machine. Now, this device was actually made by the Guardians. And remember, the Guardians are the ones who created the Green Lantern Corps. And what Brainiac 5 says is that the Guardians used the willpower technology. The same technology was used to make the Green Lantern rings to make the Miracle Machine. The thing is, though, it's more extreme than the Green Lantern rings, because it basically takes your thoughts and turn it into reality. And so right now you have Superman basically fading away and going back to the present day. But before he actually does go back to the present day, you do have Brainiac 5 tell him, you need to look at this and remember how to build it, because this right here is going to be very important when it comes to actually defeating Darkseid. But then we jump over to the Watchtower, where we actually do pick up with Black Canary, the Tattoo Man, and also Ray. Now remember, the Tattoo Man was actually part of a tie-in known as Final Crisis Submit, where basically it turned Tattoo Man from a bad guy to a good guy, but also the Tattoo Man met Black Lightning, who gave him something very important called the Metron Circuit. And we are going to learn more about the Metron Circuit in this video right here. Now, right now, you do have Black Canary say that the Tattoo Man is now part of the Justice League, because he's one of the last few people who are still fighting against the forces of the Justifiers. And remember, the Justifiers basically work for for Darkseid. They're part of his army because with basically the anti-life equation being out there right now and destroying all the willpower of the human race, they basically all work for him, and he calls them the Justifiers. Now, with that being said, though, while you have Black Canary, the Tattoo Man, and Ray on the spaceship right now, the Watchtower, kind of wondering, okay, what's our next step? Yes, we do know we have to get to Earth and basically build the Metron circuit that the Tattoo Man has, but when can we do that? But while they're talking to one another, that is the moment you do have a group of Justifiers beginning to actually attack the Watchtower. And so you do have Black Canary tell Ray, you have to get out of here. Leave right now, because right now you and the Tattoo Man are basically our last hope. But then we jump over to Bloodhaven. Now in Bloodhaven right now, you do have a superhero battle happening at the moment, where you do have Supergirl right now fighting against Mary Marvel. Now, Mary Marvel is being controlled by Darkseid, and Mary Marvel is actually the female version of Shazam. Like, she has the same powers as he does. Now, with that being said, though, she's right now being controlled by Darkseid and fighting against Supergirl. Now, you do have Kalibak, the son of Darkseid, fighting against Twaki Twani. Now, Twaki Twani, and I hope I said that name correctly, but Twaki Twani was actually a stuffed animal that was brought to life to basically help out the Shazam family to fight against his evil sister. Yeah, that is actually a storyline. Either way, though, he's here right now fighting against Kalibak. Now, the reason why they're using him, because Kalibak got a new tiger form, and Twaki Twani is a tiger. And so you have those two characters fighting against one another. Now, Black Adam is also there, and Black Adam is actually trying to help out Supergirl fight against Mary Marvel. Then we actually pick up with Captain Marvel Jr. Now, Captain Marvel Jr. is Freddie Freeman. The thing is, though, in the late 1990s, Billy Batson made a friend, Freddie Freeman. They became great friends, but of course, when you become friends with a superhero, you get involved in certain things, which then led to Freddie Freeman also getting Shazam powers, but he is called Captain Marvel Jr. Now, with that being said, though, he's here right now trying to figure out how can he help Supergirl and Black Adam fight against Mary Marvel. And so what he does is that he basically uses Shazam magic to turn him and her back into their normal form, which means that basically no more Mary Marvel and no more Captain Marvel Jr. until they both shout Shazam to turn into basically Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. But while you have Mary Marvel now removed, you still have Kalibak fighting against Twaki Twani. The problem is, though, Kalibak was not paying attention. Kalibak saw what Captain Marvel Jr. did to Mary Marvel, and so with him being distracted, you had Twaki Twani actually cut him across his gut, or his chest, whatever, and basically gutted him, killing off Kalibak. Now, as soon as Kalibak died, the other Tiger Men people who were following Kalibak order now looks at Twaki Twani as their new leader, because he took out their old leader. And so now Twaki Twani now has an army of tigers on his side. But then we actually jump over to Checkmate. Now, Checkmate Castle, actually, but Checkmate is one of the many different government organizations out there in DC Comics. Now, we actually first met Checkmate in the Final Crisis storyline, but back in Final Crisis Resist, where basically they're one of the last few places on Earth who are right now trying to resist the control of Darkseid and his army. Now, in the last video, Mr. Terrific and also Checkmate Group have met Mr. Miracle. By the way, Mr. Terrific, two things. One, he is one of the smartest people on the earth. Number two, he is also the leader of Checkmate. Now, with all that being said, in our last video, he met Mr. Miracle, and Mr. Miracle had BoomTube inside Checkmate to help out Mr. Terrific find a way to actually defeat Darkseid and save the day. Now, Mr. Terrific also brought in a bunch of different characters, But either way, though, in our last video, you have Mr. Miracle actually tell Mr. Terrific that on their face, the face paint is an actual symbol, and the symbol stands for freedom from restriction. Now, this symbol is apparently a way to resist the control of Darkseid, to resist the anti-life equation. Because remember, Darkseid is using the anti-life equation to basically control people's mind, because the equation does get rid of everybody's willpower. Now, while you have Mr. Miracle talking to Mr. Terrific, well, that is the moment you have somebody come to Mr. Terrific and say, hey, boss, our shields just dropped. Like, we are about to get hit very hard from an attack from Darkseid forces. But then we actually jump back over to the Watchtower. Now, at the Watchtower right now, you do have Black Canary and also the Tattoo Man being captured by Green Arrow and also Black Lightning, because Green Arrow and Black Lightning are being controlled by Darkseid. And we actually saw that back in Final Crisis Submit, where Black Lightning got captured, and then Final Crisis number 4 or 5, we saw Green Arrow also get captured by the forces of Darkseid. Either way, right now, you do have Green Arrow and Black Lightning begin the process of trying to put the helmets on Black Canary and the Tattoo Man's head to make them also join the forces of Darkseid. The problem is, though, when it comes to the Tattoo Man, we have to remember what Black Lightning gave him back in Final Crisis Submit. And that was the circuit, the Metron circuit. And so with that circuit being on his skin, he's actually able to resist the helmet. Because remember, when it comes to the Tattoo Man, basically all his tattoos are able to come to life. Now, usually his tattoos are put on his body after he kills somebody and their sins goes onto his body. But with that being said, though, the Black Lightning gave him the Metron circuit, and then it was tattooed to his body, which of course activates and protects him from being controlled by Darkseid. And so that is a huge moment. But then you have Black Canary say, cool, she does switch off the gravity on the satellite to throw everybody off, to hopefully give her and the Tattoo Man some more time to basically get a plan to get out of there. But then we jump over to Checkmate once again, where we actually do pick up with Talib, the other leader of Checkmate. And right now he's giving Renee Montoya this grand tour. Now, the reason why he's giving Renee Montoya the grand tour of this laboratory is to show her two things. The first is the Black Gambit plan. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering who in the world is Renee Montoya was a cop who first appeared actually in the Batman animated series from 1990s, but then she jumped over to comics. She was still a cop in Gotham City, but she then became the newest Question. Now, with all that being said, though, you do have to tell Renee Montoya what is Black Gambit, this master plan of his. And what he says is that Black Gambit is actually a plan where whoever is left from Earth will abandon Earth if Earth cannot be saved. And so they're going to abandon the Earth and go to a new Earth in the DC multiverse. Here's the problem, though, because right now it's Talib saying that we should do that because Darkseid might win, but they don't know, it seems like Darkseid is destroying everything across the multiverse in all time. Now, right after that, you do have to tell Renee Montoya about the new version of Brother Eye. Now, Brother Eye was actually a program that was made by Batman to spy on other heroes, to gain intel on those heroes, to use against those heroes, just in case they basically turn evil. Now, the problem was, though, Brother Eye actually gained intelligence and also made a new program. And this new program was the OMAX. And the OMAX was this nanotech virus that was actually able to turn humans into cyborgs and use those cyborgs to fight against superpower beings. You see the problem here? Now, with that being said, though, you actually have to tell Renee Montoya that the new version of Brother Eye is actually called Lord Eye. And the reason why, because it's named after Maxwell Lord, but on top of that, it does use the brain of Maxwell Lord. And remember, Maxwell Lord was actually not the main bad guy, but one of the bad guys that led up to Infinite Crisis. Now, with all that being said, it's also to leave telling Renee Montoya, we want you to run our future organization called the Global Peace Agency. But then we jump over to Lex Luthor. Now, right now, you have Lex Luthor with the forces of Libra. Now, remember, originally, we thought Libra was the main bad guy of Final Crisis because Homeboy appeared out of nowhere trying to recruit other bad guys to help him take down heroes across the earth. Now, at first, Lex Luthor did not want to join Libra because he's kind of like, you're a nobody. But then you have Libra offer to give every single bad guy something they wanted. And for Lex Luthor, it was to hurt Superman. Now, not physically, but emotionally. And so what you had Libra do was he blew up the Daily Planet, which of course hurt Lois Lane, which does hurt Superman, and of course makes Lex Luthor happy and then agree to work with Libra. Now, after some time has passed by, now we're deep in Final Crisis. It's Lex realizing that Libra was not the main bad guy of Final Crisis, that Libra was just part of this master plan that was made by Darkseid. And now he's realizing that Darkseid is about to destroy everything across the multiverse and all time, everything. And so for Lex, he's kind of like, oh, I messed up. I joined the wrong side. And if I stay on this side, there is going to be nothing left for me to even control. And so now it's Lex Luthor realizing he has to switch sides to basically help the heroes save the day, but to get rid of Darkseid and his forces. And so you have Lex turn around, he blasts Libra, taking out Libra, which then means he can now leave and go help the heroes save the day. But then we jump over to the Flashes, which is right now Barry Allen and Wally West. And right now they're at the home of Iris West, the aunt to Wally West and the wife to Barry Allen. I have no idea why I froze there. Now you do have Jay Garrett also show up. Now remember, Jay Garrett was the first Flash, then Barry Allen, then Wally West. So you have 3 different generations of Flashes right now here in this house. There was a 4th one, which was Bart Allen, but by the time Final Crisis has came out, Bart Allen became Flash and died as a Flash, and then no one has seen him since then up to this point in DC Comics. Either way, though, you only have 3 right now in the home of Iris West. But it's Barry telling Jay and Wally he has a plan to actually defeat Darkseid, saying that when he left the Speed Force, he knew of a way to actually defeat Darkseid. And so this is Wally hearing what the master plan Barry has. And Barry says, we need to get the Black Racer. The Black Racer represents death for the new gods. And the Black Racer could be the key to actually defeat Darkseid. But then we jump over to Darkseid and Batman. Now, Darkseid is actually still trying to come back to life. And the reason why I say that, because there was a storyline before Final Crisis where you had a war between the new gods, and most of the new gods had basically died. Now, when I say they died, they don't really die. It's just that their essences then went down to Earth, and they began the process of basically taking over different people's bodies. Now, with all that being said, though, when it came to Darkseid, the problem he had was that because he is such a powerful being, that every body he tried to use, that body would basically die. And so he had to find the perfect body, which was Dan Turbin. Now, Dan Turbin was a cop who was from Gotham, but I want to say also from Metropolis as well, like he worked there first, then Gotham. Either way, though, Dan Turbin was the perfect host for Darkseid. Now, you do have Batman actually confront Darkseid. And when Batman does that, Batman does mention that when it comes to Darkseid, basically Darkseid is still badly injured from Orion, his son, but also another new god, but on New Genesis side. But when it comes to Orion did heavy damage to Darkseid by using a radion bullet. Now that radion bullet is full of radion, and radion is very toxic to new gods. And so with Batman saying that with the Earth about to die, everything about to die, Batman is going to break his vow. And his vow is to never use a gun. But he has no choice. He basically grabs the gun, the same gun that's holding the radion bullet. He fires it at Darkseid to hopefully kill Darkseid. The problem is, though, at the same time Batman had fired that bullet, Darkseid fired his sanctioned I-beams, or his Omega sanction. I cannot believe I just said sanctioned I-beams. Guys, forgive me. But he fired his Omega sanction. And when he did that, they of course hit Batman. And so Darkseid got hit with the bullet. At the same time, Batman got hit with the Omega sanctions. And this is actually huge. And the reason why, because for Grant Morrison, he used the death of Batman from this storyline right here to do something brand new with Batman. Not really brand new, because we saw Dick Grayson as Batman before in the 1990s, but he does it again down the road in a brand new series known as Batman and Robin that comes right after Final Crisis, really after Battle of the Cowl. Now, right after the death of Batman actually happens, we see somebody has returned to Earth, and this person is angry over the death of Batman. And Supergirl can't believe how angry this person is, because right now it's Superman. The sky is red. He's full of rage. He's just going around blasting folks with his heat vision. He is so angry, and the reason why he is so angry is because he found out that Batman died. And you have Supergirl and other heroes look at Superman as he holds the dead body of Batman. Now, getting into the final chapter of Final Crisis, we actually pick up with Final Crisis number 7. Now, when it comes to the opening of Final Crisis number 7, we actually do jump over to Earth 23. Now, the reason why, because on Earth 23, you have a different kind of Superman. What is Superman on that universe is, one, African American, but two, is also the president of the United States of America. But just like on the main DC universe, over in this universe, on this Earth, the sky is red. Because again, Darkseid is basically about to win. But then you have this universe version of Superman meet up with this universe version of Wonder Woman, who is also African American. But then they realize that they're able to see other Earths across the multiverse. And this is them realizing that there is a multiverse out there. But then they are confronted by Captain Marvel. Now, this is not the Captain Marvel from the main DC universe. No, this is another Captain Marvel from Earth 5, who's right now with Renee Montoya, where right now they're going around the multiverse and recruiting every single Superman across the multiverse to fight against an unknown force. It's an army of Supermen. But then we jump back over to Superman, where you right now see Superman holding the lifeless body of Batman, really the corpse of Batman. Either way, though, Batman is now dead, and Superman is holding his body. Now, with that being said, though, Darkseid comes out, and Darkseid had actually survived the bullet that Batman shot into him. And so Darkseid is kind of like, yo, bro, what's up? I'm not dead. And matter of fact, I won. When you guys had turned your back, not watching over your planet completely, I was able to move in and do what I needed to do to basically take over the Earth. And look what I did. I won. And technically, everybody who's right here right now, my justifiers, they're all connected to me. So in reality, Superman, if you try to stop me, you're now the bad guy. You're trying to stop life because everything about Earth's life is now part of me. Darkseid and everyone else here, we're all connected. We are all one. We are all Darkseid. And so it's really trying to say is that he's now the good guy and Superman is the bad guy if Superman does try to actually stop Darkseid from winning. Now, right when it seems like the Justifiers are about to kill off Superman, that is the moment you have Barry Allen and Wally West run right by Darkseid and Superman with the Black Racer, who again represents the death to the new gods. And so as soon as the Flash is run by Superman and being able to actually save him from the Justifiers, after Superman was saved, you did have the Flashes run by Darkseid with the Black Racer. Now, of course, Darkseid does see Black Racer. And here's the thing right here. Again, Black Racer represents death to the new gods. And so it seems like Black Racer came by and grabbed the soul of Darkseid out of the body of Dan Turpin, which means that technically right now, Dan Turpin is back in control of his own body once again. Now, right after that, you do have Wonder Woman appear. Now, remember, she is one of the few Leaguers who were basically taken over by Darkseid. And so right now with her appearing, she's still somewhat in control by Darkseid. Because even though Darkseid's soul was taken out of the body of Dan Turpin, remember, he was connected to everybody across Earth. And so right now, he's still somewhat controlling Wonder Woman. Now, with that being said, though, she's right now kind of like telling Superman, you're outnumbered. You're about to lose. But that is the moment you have Lex Luthor appear. Now, when Lex Luthor actually appears, he's kind of like, yo, I brought an army. I brought in the Secret Society, a bunch of bad guys to basically help out. Then you have Supergirl appear. And when Supergirl appears, she's like, yo, I brought some heroes as well too. And so now you have an army of people working together to fight against the forces of Darkseid. Now, Frankenstein was actually able to free Wonder Woman. And when she's free, she's like, cool, I'm back on the side of good right now. And she grabs her lasso, spins it around, and she frees other people. And the more she kept doing that, the more people were free. And then Darkseid began to lose control of the people of Earth, because now you have the heroes and the villains working together. Thanks to the lasso, it's breaking people free from his control. But then we jump over to Superman. And right now you have Superman getting ready to build the Miracle Machine. Actually, he already built it. Either way, though, he is confronted by Darkseid. Now, earlier we saw Darkseid's soul being taken out of Dan Turpin's body. Yes, we also saw people being able to break free from Darkseid's control. Yes, because with all those things happening, it made Darkseid stronger. Everybody was connected to Darkseid. With all those things happening now, and Darkseid no longer has control over Dan Turpin or the people of the Earth, it's now just his essence left. Now, he's trying to take over the Miracle Machine that Superman just built, but you didn't have Superman say, no, you cannot have the Miracle Machine, because I just realized something about you. It's how you vibrate. You vibrate like the multiverse does. And what Superman is saying, that every single Earth vibrates differently. And so if you're able to actually play around with vibrations of the multiverse, you can actually shatter something in the multiverse. And because Darkseid vibrates like the multiverse does, you have Superman able to break that vibration, which of course gets rid of Darkseid just like that. But then we see that we have Superman getting ready to use the Miracle Machine. Now, for him to actually use the Miracle Machine, Superman has to use something called Element X that comes from the fourth world. Now, luckily for Superman, he does have some Element X, which is Morbius' chair. Now, here's the thing though. While he is getting ready to use Morbius' chair to power up the Miracle Machine, that is the moment he is confronted by Mandrake, the Dark Monitor. Now, Let me explain. So when it comes to DC's multiverse, you basically have a monitor in every single Earth. The problem was, though, back in the original time when the monitors were slowly coming up, you did have one monitor who had decided that if they are able to feed on the bleed more often, they'll be more powerful. Now, the bleed is basically the barrier between the multiverse, or the Earths and the multiverse. So, for example, between Earth 1 and Earth 2, you have the bleed. Between Earth 2 and 3, you have the bleed. But the bleed is a huge amount of energy that the monitors were feeding off of. But when it comes to Mandrake, he realized if you feed off more than usual, you'll become even stronger. And so that's what he did, and he became the Dark Monitor, corrupted by the energy that he had basically absorbed. Now, with all that being said, though, we actually saw Superman fight against Mandrake back in the two-part tie-in known as Superman Beyond. And that story right there was crazy like no other. Either way, Mandrake is now back again. He's all like, look, you lost. You lost. And I can finally win. I can finally win everything. And you have Mandrake actually point out that to Superman, even though he has Morbius' chair, he needs something else to power up the chair so that the chair can power up the miracle machine. But then you have Superman tell Mandrake, you forgot one thing, that I am actual solar energy. I have energy inside of me, and I can use that energy to power up the chair actually to save the day. Now, while you have Superman actually powering up the miracle machine, you also have Mandrake thinking that this will be the perfect time to actually strike Superman, to stop him. Now, also, we cannot forget that Ultraman had also joined Mandrake's side. And so you have Ultraman right now thinking the same thing along with Mandrake. But that is the moment you have, it gets crazy. You then have the army of Supermen across the multiverse appear to fight against Mandrake. You also have the Green Lanterns also appear to fight against Mandrake. But you also have Nyx Utan also appear as well. And Nyx Utan is actually very important because he is the son of Mandrake. And so this is him saying, Father, you basically made me to stop you. And I'm here with the army of Superman. I'm here with the main Superman. I'm here with the Green Lanterns to make sure that there is no way possible that you can actually win. And so it does lead into this big battle between the heroes who are here right now along with Superman, but also the shadow forces of Mandrake, the Dark Monitor. And of course, we do see that Mandrake does lose. He does lose the battle. He is defeated by our heroes, and the day seems to be saved. Now, I'm going to go ahead and skip over a few things as a way to kind of wrap up our coverage of Final Crisis. But basically, we do pick up with Superman right now, and we kind of find out that he was able to use the Miracle Machine. And with him being able to use the Miracle Machine, he was able to remake the multiverse as it was before Darkseid began to ruin everything across the multiverse. And so basically everything is back to normal like it was before Final Crisis had actually started. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about, we have to jump back in time to the point where we had cavemen, where we actually pick up with Anthro. Now, Anthro was a caveman we actually met at the very beginning of Final Crisis, who was trying to learn how to make fire. Now, when we actually see him again in Final Crisis at the very end, he's an old man now. Now, with him being an old man, of course, right now, he's just hanging out in his cave until he dies. But when he does die, we do see on his body, he does have Batman utility belt. And we're kind of like, how in the world does this caveman have Batman's utility belt? And then that is the moment we see that Bruce Wayne is actually alive, that Bruce Wayne was actually sent back in time, that actually he did not die when Darkseid hit him earlier. He just went back in time. And that right there is going to lead us into a very interesting storyline down the road if we actually cover it. With that being said, though, I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. And if you did, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.